Hi, welcome to Bobby Cinema Theater. I'm Bobby Cinema, but you can call me BC. Today's April 13th and my 10th week on my webcast, live at Bobby Cinema, where I introduce the new movies and DVDs that's out this week. Where I make my final grade on the movie out this week. Go to my website where you can read the plot and watch the movie trailers. The first movie out this week in theaters is Street Kings, starring Keanu Reeves and Forest Whitaker. Directed by D.V.D and produced by Erwin Stoff and distributed by Fox Searchlight Pictures. I took this film, it's like watching Training Day all over again. I recommend people watching this film. It has a great action and areas and no one knows what goes on in the real world that nobody ever saw. Keanu Reeves made an extraordinary performance in this film, but a cop trying to bring the streets back belong to the people. My hat's off to him. I rate this movie a B-. Out this week is The Visitor, starring Richard Jenkins and Hazim Sulaiman, written and directed by Thomas McCarthy, produced by Michael London and distributed by Overture Pictures. I took this film. I recommend people watching this film, but a professor meets a young couple who has a break into his apartment, so I let them stay and become their friend. Richard Jenkins made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to him. Rate this movie an A-. Out this week is Smart People, starring Dennis Quaid, Ellen Page, and Thomas Hayden Church. Directed by Noam Murrow, produced by Bridget Johnson, and distributed by Miramax Films. I took this film. I recommend people watching this film about two brothers trying to find their way together. Dennis Quaid and Thomas Hayden Church, extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to them. I grade this movie a B+. The next movie out this week is Prom Night, starring Brittany Snell. Directed by Nelson McCormick, produced by F.K. Goldsman, and distributed by United States Screen Gems and Alliance Films. I took this film. It's like watching a remake of Carrie. This movie sounds kind of exciting. I recommend people watch this film. Brittany Snell made an extraordinary performance. My hat's off to her. Grade this movie a B. That's all the movies that are out this week. The next movie that's out on DVD this week is The Water Horse, Legend of Deep Sea, starring Bruce Alpress, produced and directed by Jay Russell, and distributed by Columbia Pictures, Revolution Studios, Walden Media, and Beacon Pictures. I took this film. I don't recommend people watch this movie on DVD. This is the worst film I've ever seen since watching Soccer Dog. You should get better actors and better writers for this film. For this movie, a C-. The next movie out this week is Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, starring John C. Reilly and Jenna Fischer. Written, directed, and produced by Jake Kasdan and produced by Columbia Pictures. I took this film. I don't recommend people watching this movie on DVD. This is the worst film to make skits like The Walk the Line, so I don't recommend people watching this film. They should get better actors and better writers for this movie. I grade this movie a D-. The next movie out this week is Lions for Lambs, starring Tom Cruise, Meryl Streep, and Robert Redford. Directed and produced by Robert Redford and distributed by MGM and United Artists. I took this film. I don't recommend people watch this movie on DVD. This is the worst movie I've ever seen since watching Far and Away. They should get better actors and better writers in this film. I rate this movie a D-. The next movie out this week is There Will Be Blood, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, written, directed, and produced by Paul Thomas Anderson. Distributed by Paramount Vantage and Miramax Films. I took up this film. I recommend people watching this movie on DVD. Daniel Day-Lewis made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to him. Rate this movie a B-. The next movie out this week is Resurrecting the Champ, starring Samuel L. Jackson and Josh Hartnett. Directed by Rod Laurie and produced by Bob Yari. Distributed by Yari Films Group. I took a look at this film. I don't recommend people watch this movie on DVD. This is the worst movie I've ever seen since Against the Ropes. I rate this movie a D+.
Action.
The next movie out this week on DVD is Music Within, starring Ron Livingston and Melissa George. Directed by Steven Salwich, produced by Richard D. Zanuck, and produced by Arclist Entertainment and Corium Entertainment. I took this movie. I recommend people watch this movie on DVD about a Vietnam vet who is partially deaf and changed the world with a disabled around the world. This is a movie I want you to see. Ron Livingston made an extraordinary performance in this film. My hat's off to him. I grade this movie an A-. That's all the time we have today. Come back next week where I introduce the new movies out this week and on DVD. Don't forget to log into my website where you can look into my new trailers, play my movie trivia, and my puzzle. This is BC. See you next week, and now get out my